So Time magazine's latest issue echoes the hyperbole found all over social media by dubbing 2020, quote, the worst year ever. I think most of the people who say this don't mean it literally. I hope, anyway, they don't mean it literally. 2020 obviously is not the worst year ever. I mean, any of the years in the late 14th century when the Black Plague was in the process of wiping out half of Europe's population were probably quite a bit worse than this one. Or say 1862, when over 20,000 people were killed in one day in just one battle of the Civil War. That was Antietam. That year was, I'm guessing, much more challenging than this one. The same goes for 1861, 1863, 1864, or any of the years leading up to and preceding the Civil War. In fact, I bet if you were transported to any year prior to our modern age, anywhere on Earth, you would, within hours, be begging for the comfort and tranquility of America circa the year of our Lord 2020. I'm not sure what exactly was happening in, say, 1648 or 1234 or 1705, but I do know that the nights were cold, survival was hard, people probably didn't smell very good, your children, not all of them, probably would live to adulthood, and you would probably be dead before 50. So, no. 2020 is not the worst year ever, not even close to it. And it's important to establish that fact because if we lose our sense of perspective, then we will not be able to rationally evaluate our situation and make good and coherent choices. In fact, it is this lack of perspective, this inability to rationally evaluate, that has contributed greatly towards making 2020, if not the worst year ever, at least a bad year, and perhaps the worst in several decades. It's what has scared people into submitting to tyranny from the government. And as far as that goes, I think we can say without melodrama or hyperbole that what the government has done over the past several months has been oppressive, tyrannical, and capricious to an extent unprecedented in our lifetimes at least. This may not be the worst year literally in history, but some of what has happened we have never seen before. And it is very terrible indeed. On that end, here's the latest, a report from CNN reporting some real and important news for a change. I don't know if their normal editors are on vacation or what to let this slip through, but here's what the article says. It says about 17% of America's restaurants have already permanently closed this year, with thousands more on the brink, according to a new report. The National Restaurant Association is publicly pleading with Congress to pass new stimulus to help the industry that has been damaged by the pandemic. The group said Monday that 10,000 restaurants could close in the next 3 weeks, in addition to the 110,000 that have already shuttered in 2020. Now, just to stop for a moment here, to really think about this, because you become numb to these numbers after a while. 110,000 restaurants have closed this year. 110,000. If I had told you in December of 2019 that in the following year, over 100,000 restaurants would be closed, first of all, you wouldn't have believed me. Second, if you did believe me, you would think that I was describing some kind of sudden economic apocalypse, some sort of act of God coming out of the sky, out of the blue, to destroy an entire industry in one fell swoop. And you would be wrong in that assumption. This has been an intentional, deliberate, targeted decision by our elected leaders. Now, a little bit more from CNN. It says, the group released results from a survey of 6,000 restaurant operators revealing that 87% of full-service restaurants reported an average 36% drop in revenue, and 83% expect sales to be even worse over the next 3 months as the virus continues to lash the United States. Sean Kennedy, executive vice president of the group, said, in short, the restaurant industry simply cannot wait for relief any longer. He advocates for a, quote, true compromise between the competing Democrat and Republican proposals and hopes for a larger stimulus package in 2021 under the incoming Biden administration. CNN Business's dashboard tracking America's recovery shows a steep drop in restaurant reservations, down 70% during the pandemic. They recovered in September, have fallen once again. A bipartisan stimulus proposal could be unveiled this week. It's unclear if the extension of the Paycheck Protection Program, which the group wants, will be included. Now, I said that CNN was reporting real news for a change, but they can't help themselves, of course. As usual, the media reports that even acknowledge the devastation will always lay the blame on the virus. They lay the blame of the economic devastation on the virus. Well, the virus and Donald Trump. Notice it says that the situation with restaurants will get even worse as the virus continues to lash the United States. But it's not the virus doing this. The virus hasn't closed one single restaurant. Our response to the virus has done that. The distinction really matters because it's not as though this was unavoidable. It's not as though a virus had to demolish the restaurant industry and put hundreds of thousands of people just from that industry alone out of work. There were other ways of responding, but we, and by we I mean they, the politicians, the bureaucrats, chose this way. They did this, not the virus. Economically, anyway, they are the ones lashing the United States, not the virus. And now we're told that the only solution is to rely on the people who caused the problem to begin with. We have to beg them to hammer out a deal and pass a stimulus. That's the solution. Which, yes, they do need to hammer out a deal and pass a stimulus. If they're going to put millions of people out of work and shut down millions of businesses, it's their responsibility to offer some kind of compensation. But this is a Band-Aid at best, not a solution. It's not what will save the restaurant industry or any other industry from full collapse. It's not what will save our economy or reclaim our country or win back the rights we forfeited. The only way to really reclaim what has been taken is simply to take it back. Not to ask for it to be given back, but to take it. Business owners should just open their businesses, no matter what the restrictions and ordinances say. No matter what Gavin Newsom or Andrew Cuomo thinks about it. Flip on the open sign, unlock the door, start doing business again. Churches should open their doors, invite their congregations in, not waiting for permission from the mayor or the sheriff or even their bishop, if we're talking about a Catholic church. People who want to walk down the street without a mask should simply walk down the street without a mask. This is how America became a free country in the first place. If you're waiting for the government to give you permission to be free, you've already lost. The only way is to say, I am free, I'm an American, and this is what I'm going to do. Try and stop me. And maybe they will try and stop you. Maybe they won't. If enough people join you, they won't be able to stop you. If people don't join you, then even so, at least you can know that you did the right thing, the American thing. You didn't take the tyranny lying down. You chose, at least, to be free. Well, I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Matt Walsh Show. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right down there so you can stay up to date on all of our future content.